Hi, welcome to the story of Mike Postle. Mike Postle is an American professional poker player who grew up in Wisconsin. He was the central figure of an alleged poker cheating scandal that caused controversy throughout the poker community. On Wikipedia, in July 2018, Postle allegedly started a prolonged poker heater, a hot streak where everything seems to be going right for a particular player, winning $250,000 in 1-3 and 2-5 no-limit hold'em games at Stone's Gambling Hall in Citrus Heights, California. Over a year later, during a Stone's live stream in September 2019, Stone's employee Veronica Brill shared her long-held suspicions that Postle was cheating. So jumping over to YouTube and the channel of Veronica Brill, we see this is the first video I believe she posted regarding, the supposed cheating scandal on October 2019. And I became aware of this story relatively soon after it became public. And currently in February of 2021, over a year later, I saw an update of this story, and in my spirit, I recognized something that I didn't realize when the story first broke. But I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's just jump into this video a bit. This gentleman here is Mike Postle, and this is a live stream, meaning they show a cash game poker session being played live. So they have the commentators up here in the top, and I think this is Veronica Brill. So in a moment, you'll see Mike Postle look down between his legs. And so the issue was, again, you'll see it now, that he would place his cell phone generally on his lap or hold it in his left hand under the table, and he would look at it during games. You couple that with his playing strategy or the decisions he would make, and poker players believed the two things together were culminating into some type of cheating. Jumping back over to Wikipedia, Mike Postle can be seen repeatedly looking at his cellular telephone under the table. He won in more than 94% of the games he played, a winning streak that is not known to have been achieved by any other poker player, professional or amateur, over such a significant period of time. And certainly, as someone who's played cash game poker for 10 years, at different low stakes and high stakes and at many different casinos and many different types of games, I can attest to that fact that a success rate that's, almost unattainable. So going back to the video on Veronica Brill's channel, I'm not going to spend much time showing you all the hands that Michael Postle played and, showing decisions that he made, because there's plenty of poker videos with great poker commentary that address all these issues. Here's one by a channel called Joe Ingram, who's, this one video is almost 4 hours long, and he goes through, all the different hands. But it's interesting that he titled the video God Mode. And, during the live stream, the commentators would often, make reference that Mike Postle was in God mode or making God moves. And, I didn't recognize anything spiritual at the time, right? Because certainly I wasn't reading the Bible, and, I wasn't living, in spirit and in truth. There's another channel called Doug Polk Poker. Doug Polk is a professional poker player, and as well, he covers a lot of the hands and gives good commentary. What I realized when I saw the update for this story, and I looked back at the story, is that it's an example of spiritual warfare, right? Mike Postle, what's the meaning of the word Postle? Postle name meaning English Norfolk, nickname from a reduced form of Middle English apostle, right? From the Greek apostolos. And where do we find the Greek word apostolos? Well, in the King James Bible, the 12 apostles, the Greek word apostolos, right? A messenger, one sent on a mission, an apostle, right? So Mike, apostle. And what's the meaning of the name Mike? Meaning who is like God. Mike is a name that has been used primarily by parents who are considering baby names for boys, diminutive form of Michael, Michael the Archangel, meaning who is like God. Mike Postle, Mike who is like God, an apostle, right? All spiritually apparent. And when did this story break? In late 2019, right? And what else happened in 2019, right? Archived the World Health Organization timeline, December 31st, 2019, China reported a cluster of cases in Wuhan, Hubei province. Novel coronavirus was eventually identified January 1st, 2020. So it all becomes spiritually apparent. So Mike, the apostle, right? Who is like God, an apostle? An apostle, right, from the Greek apostolos, a messenger, one sent on a mission, an apostle. And if you look at the other videos that relate to this story, WTF does Mike Postle, one who is like God, a messenger, think he's doing? One who is like God, cheating scandal, God mode, all very spiritually apparent. And where is the poker game played at? It's played at the Stones, right? The Stones Casino, right? And what is the Stones? Live. Stones live. And what is live backwards? Evil. Stones, evil. And what does the Bible say about stones? Well, if we go to Matthew 16:18, and I say unto thee, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So Jesus saith, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. Chapter 21, verse 42 in the King James, Jesus saith unto them, did you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same is become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Psalms 118, verse 22, the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. Stones live, stones evil, right? You see, spiritual war against God and the people of God and the only begotten Son. So as a cash game poker player for 10 years, I can tell you that, this type of behavior would not go unnoticed. The fact that this was allowed to go on over a period of time is very evidence that it's a fabricated spiritual story. And further, all the poker players participating in this cash game are aware that it's a live stream. All these cards have RFD chips, or they're read by a card reader, and someone has access to the information in real time as the game is happening. So theoretically, it's always possible for someone to access the information and know what cards the other players have. And if you combine that with the fact that you have someone at the table, acting in a very nefarious way, I mean, common sense tells you, although common sense is not so common, but it tells you that someone would make the connection, right? So apparently Veronica Brill is the one that makes the connection. And on the 9th of October 2019, 24 poker players filed a $30 million lawsuit against Postle, Stones, and Stones gambling hall manager Justin Karatis. In June of 2020, federal judge William B. Shub dismissed the lawsuit against all three defendants, citing California law. The case against Postle was dismissed with prejudice, precluding a case being refiled against him. 3 months after the dismissal, 60 of the now 88 plaintiffs accepted a settlement with King's Casino, which owns Stones Casino, and Karatis. Veronica Brill was among the remaining 28. Less than a month afterward, Postle filed a $330 million defamation suit against a dozen individuals, including poker celebrity Daniel Negreanu, three-time World Series of Poker winner Phil Galfond, and ESPN, which aired a segment on SportsCenter about the scandal. If we jump over to Cardplayer.com, an update on December 10, 2020, lawyers representing alleged poker cheat Mike Postle moved to drop him as a client. Lawyers representing alleged poker cheat Mike Postle in his $330 million defamation lawsuit against several of the poker community's most prominent members have filed paperwork with the court to drop Postle So this is how I see the story in my spirit. So Mike, one who is like God, apostle, right? An apostle, a messenger, one sent on a mission. Mike Postle that everyone is against, right? Like the stone's evil. Everyone is against God, the begotten Son of God and the children of God. Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. And on October 9th, 2019, 24 poker players, right? 4 and 2 is 6, filed a $30 million lawsuit against Apostle or the Apostles and against the Stones. And we go to Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field with which the Lord God had made, right? Chapter 3 about the serpent. 24, the 6, filed a $30 million lawsuit, right? The serpent against Apostle, right? Children of God. We see a 3 and a 6, right? And then 3 months later, after dismissal, 6, the 3 and a 6 again, 60 of the now 88 plaintiffs accepted a settlement. And 8 is a number associated with Jesus, representing the circumcision of the heart and new beginnings. And if you add up the name of Jesus in Greek, you get 888. And of course, 2 8s are 16, and 6 and 1 is 7. 7 is often the number of God, the number of completeness, the number of perfection. So the 6 who accepted a settlement were rewarded. Less than a month afterward, Postle filed a $330 million defamation suit against a dozen individuals in the poker community. Right? If we go back to Genesis 3, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Right? Apostle of God, filing a defamation suit against the devil. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. So let's take a look how this is a scripted ritual, or spiritual story, if you like. The story happens at Citrus Heights, California, at Stone's Gambling Hall. The Dramatrinator.com, and type in Citrus Heights, we see an association with 54. And the name of the live stream was Stone's Live. So if we go and type in Stone's Live, again, we see an association with 54. And if we take a look at the characters of this story, we have Mike Postle, we have Stone's Casino, and we have Mike Postle, and God Mode, the association with God Mode. So if we take a look at Mike Postle, we see a combination of 9. If we look at Stone's Casino, we have a 9. If we look at God Mode, we have a 9. And if we type in Michael's full name, we have the 6 and 3 and a 9. And if we type in Cash Game, we have another combination of a 9. So in this scripted story, there's an association with a 4, a 5, and a 9. Even if we go back to Wikipedia, we could see here 250,000, 1, 3, and 2, 5. So if we add the 2 and 5 is 7, and the 2 is 9, and a 5, and 1 and 3 is 4. If we look at this date here, 30, and 2 is 5, the 9, and the 4. So, it's less obvious in the dates and the numbers, but it's there. Where else do we find a 4, a 5, and a 9? Well, if we go to CO, we find a 9, and a V, we find a 5, and an ID, we find a 4. So we find our 4, 5, and 9. So we have the biggest story in poker, happening around the same time as the biggest story in the world, and then we have a lot of spiritual or ritual parallels. And people wonder what the 19 is. Well, if we go to Strong's 19, the Hebrew word for slaughter. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope it gives you some spiritual discernment. Love, grace, and peace.